What's up YouTube? Javi here at Javi's Boom Tech, and today we're gonna check out the XB3 one more time, but this time we're gonna pair it against the very popular JBL Charge 2 Plus. So let's get to it guys and see which one is worth your $149. Alright guys, so here we are. We have the Sony XB3 newly released. It's actually not even available on Amazon yet until the 21st of March. However, I was able to pick it up a little bit early at Best Buy. And then on the right hand side, we have the JBL Charge 2 Plus. Feature-wise, these two guys are actually very similar. They share a lot of the same features, including that rugged build. They're both water resistant, so they can take a pretty good splash and still be okay. Both built really well. Can definitely take a drop and still be okay, which can't be said about a lot of speakers. With the Sony XB3, you do have the ability to actually zoom in here. You can actually add a second Sony XB3 and create stereo mode. That is something you cannot do on the JBL Charge 2 Plus. It's a feature that will be on the JBL Charge 3 that comes out hopefully next month. So that is a feature that does not have. NFC, of course, is a feature that only the XB3 has. JBL is also missing that. And then you saw that extra bass button on my test the other night when I paired it up against the X33, the previous model. I had the extra bass mode turned on, and I noticed that the mids and the highs weren't as clear or as defined as they were on the X33. After listening to it for the past couple of days, I noticed that when you turn that feature off, it does clean up those highs and mids, and they're a lot more detailed than they are when you do engage that. That extra bass not only boosts the bass, but it also boosts the overall loudness of the speaker. It's actually pretty nice between like 40 and 55%. But once you go over that volume level, you really don't need it, and it actually sounds a lot better with the extra bass disengaged. So definitely keep that in mind when you have it. I definitely like it a lot better at the higher volumes without that extra bass engaged, because it has plenty of bass at the higher volumes, and it does get quite a bit louder than the X33. Weight-wise, the X33, the XB3, sorry about that, is actually heavier than the JBL Charge 2. It's also a little bit larger. It's not quite as portable as the JBL Charge 2 Plus. That being said, it's still plenty portable to throw into a backpack and carry around with you without being too obtrusive. One thing that the JBL Charge 2 Plus does have that I really like is it has a mini USB charging port, which makes it very convenient, especially since that's the most common charging cord that I have, whereas the XB3 has a proprietary DC charger. They both have the USB charge out. The JBL 2 Plus has those nice passive radiators that create that nice bass, that nice movement when you got the bass going. The XB3 also has dual passive radiators that are actually really nice looking with this grill. They actually made the holes that they drilled in front larger so you can actually see the driver. So that passive radiator right there looks really nice. And then of course you got the second one back here on the back. Other features to note on they both do have speakerphone capabilities. One other thing that the XB3 has that the JBL Charge 2 Plus does not is better battery life. The XB3 actually is rated at 24 hours of battery life. Now that's gonna vary depending on how high you listen to it at. But at moderate levels, I mean, you can get pretty close. Today I was listening to about 10 hours straight at about 50% volume, and it's still got plenty of juice in it left. Whereas the JBL Charge 2 Plus is gonna get you about 12 hours, and that also varies depending on how high you've got the volume going on them. Other than that, they're very similar. The Sony XB3 does offer a couple additional features that you can't find on the JBL Charge 2 Plus, mainly that ability to pair it to a second one, which is definitely a nice and welcome feature. Let's get to that sound test and see which one sounds better and which one is worth your money, or if you should really hold out and wait for the JBL Charge 3 to see what that's gonna offer. So without further ado, guys, let's get started. All right, guys. One thing that I get a request a lot for is to test out the speakerphone capabilities of these speakers. A lot of people, they want an all-around device that does everything well, and speakerphone capabilities is something that's pretty important to a lot of people, considering that you can use it as a hands-free unit while driving. So I want to do a quick call test. I'll start with the XB3 here. And let me see who I'm going to call. Let's call one of my buddies here. See if he picks up. Dialing on the XB3. Sounds pretty good. Nobody's home. So it sounds, I mean, it sounds fair. You heard the voice. It's not anything great, but I mean, it's loud, pretty clear. Let's try it out on the JBL Charge 2 Plus, see how it sounds on that one. Here we go. Let's try this number. That's the JBL Charge 2. It's a lot lower. Yeah, it's considerably lower than the XB3.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes?
Hello, you are on JBT Live. I am testing the speakerphone capabilities. Don't say anything embarrassing.
You know what you just asked for.
It sounds pretty good. The JBL sounds pretty good. It's not as loud as the XB3, but there's more bass to your voice. Maybe because of the passive radiators, but it sounds good. Thanks for testing. I'll see you tomorrow.
I'm on JTB.com.
Yeah. What? Alrighty. See you.
Awesome. How does it sound?
It sounds okay. It's not as loud as the XB3.
Did I win anything? Am I caller 20?
You're caller 22. I'm sorry you lose.
Oh, you're so wrong.
Try next time. Thanks for calling in. All right, bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right, guys, there you have it. I actually like the XB3 better. It's a lot louder. However, the bass on the JBL Charge 2 Plus sounded pretty good on the voice. Gave it a lot more depth. It's not as hollow sounding as it was on the XB3. So it's really up to you. You want it louder or you want more bass to the caller's voice. So there you have it, guys. The phone feature on both speakers. All right, guys. So there you have it. The sound test and speakerphone capabilities are complete. And I gotta say, after hearing both of them side by side, I am definitely more impressed with the Sony XB3 than I was when I compared it to the Sony X33 the other night. The XB3 really shines here against the JBL Charge 2 Plus, really all across the volume spectrum. Even at 50%, the difference wasn't quite as pronounced. The JBL Charge 2 Plus still sounded pretty good, producing those nice lows. But the XB3 not only matched it, but kind of took it a little bit to the next level, a little bit punchier bass. The highs and mids were a little bit more detailed, a little bit more pronounced. When I engaged the X bass, it did boost the bass a little bit more and overall loudness, and it sounded pretty good. I still preferred it without the X bass. That speaker really doesn't need any kind of boosting. It is good as is without that extra bass, at least in my opinion. If you are into that extra bass and making it louder, then you're gonna love that feature. And like I was saying, as the volume increased, the XB3 only got better. And like I said, without the X bass, that thing sounds really good, especially compared to the JBL Charge 2 Plus. It's louder, it's got stronger bass, just the mids and highs just sound better, clearer, more defined, just overall more vibrant. And then at max, the JBL Charge 2 Plus just kind of faded away. The mids and highs kind of just got muffled up kind of. They weren't really loud and they were kind of recessed back, and the bass wasn't really punchy anymore. It was a little bit sloppy. Whereas the XB3, I mean, it really sounded good. It was nice and loud, definitely louder than the Charge 2 Plus, and the bass, even at max, was still punchy. When I did engage that X bass though, it didn't really sound that good. At least to me, it sounded like it was kind of bordering on distortion. But once I disengaged that X bass, it sounded fantastic, at least to me. But I think that if you had to choose between the two of them, I would definitely go with the XB3. You're gonna get a lot more for the same amount. If they drop the price of the Charge 2 Plus to maybe 99 bucks or 119, maybe it's a little bit more comparable, but at the same price, it's no contest. The Sony XB3 takes it all the way with just overall features, like the pairing mode to a second one, 24-hour battery life, and just the sound is just way more impressive than it is on the JBL Charge 2 Plus. Now that being said, we'll have to see how it compares to the JBL Charge 3. It's been said it's greatly improved. It gets louder. It's got the JBL Connect feature, so the JBL Charge 3 will be able to connect to a second JBL Charge 3. So we'll have to wait and see how the XB3 stands up against the JBL Charge 3 when that comes out in April. But until then, guys, my choice is definitely the XB3. All right, guys, that does it for me tonight. Make sure to subscribe because this Saturday, I'm gonna be doing a video on how to JBL Extreme Sound, and you won't wanna miss that. I'm gonna be doing tests indoors and outdoors and giving you a good idea of what you're getting when you pair two together. So be sure and catch that on Saturday. That does it for me, guys. I will see you on Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.